The expected protocol is just as the Onitsha is carrying it out. Because, take for example, upon the demise of an Obi, the market shifts from NSUKWA market to Onitsha market. That shows you how powerful Onitsha is. Therefore, if the Obi maybe is suspended or anything, because under normal circumstance, it is usual. An Obi may err and become suspended. At the end, he will apologize. Even his late father, Obi Zamaka, was at the time suspended. And he bought a cow to appease his people. It is no sacrilege. So, Onitsha is not wrong in what he's doing. It is encouraged and it is the proper protocol.
And it also established justice in the NSUKWA community. In the first place, it establishes that NSUKWA has right to nominate whosoever they so desire, whether the oldest man or the youngest man of the quarter, to occupy that role of Onitsha. The second one is that when the choice of Onitsha is made, nobody, not anybody in the NSUKWA community has the right to override the choice of Onitsha. And so the judgment established that Onitsha has rights and that Onitsha has chosen, and the man they so chose is Chief Michael Onyeri Amukume to occupy that position of the Onitsha of NSUKWA, and it is so approved and so guaranteed now completely that has a backing, a legal backing, that so should occupy that position and enjoy the rights as Onitsha of NSUKWA and take over all the responsibilities of that. The implication is that because from the onset, the Onitsha of NSUKWA, who took his title on the 19th of January 2010, preceded the crowning of the sole crowning of the traditional ruler that took place on the 30th of March 2010. And the traditional ruler has on his own accord said that he was crowned by one Diopa. And one Diopa of whatever age cannot have the authority and the power to crown an Obi. It is only bestowed on the Onitsha of NSUKWA. So the implication is that if anybody today, as I speak, 16th day of September 2020, is sitting on any place in the NSUKWA community and calling himself the king or the traditional ruler of NSUKWA, it is null and void, because such a person was never, as Onitsha have stated severally, crowned by the Onitsha of NSUKWA. So that means, today, as we speak, NSUKWA has no traditional ruler, and that presupposes that, in consonant with the decision of NSUKWA people on the 7th of October 2016, that they have to throw whoever sits there, that by the judgment of the court, it presupposes that there is no any Obi or traditional ruler of NSUKWA. In that regard, therefore, the Onitsha of NSUKWA becomes the highest traditional ruler of NSUKWA today. That is,
it is not far-fetched. It is not far-fetched. If the Onitsha cannot crown him, it means his coronation is not consummated. Therefore, he is not crowned. That's how it is. No two ways about it. He's not coronated, he's not crowned, because it is the legitimate, inalienable right of the Onitsha to put a strand of bead round his head and place an eagle feather at the right hand. It is only normal. no other person has the right to do it. Ideally, if not for bastardizing the process, because the process was completely bastardized, he bulldozed his way to the palace without consent of the royal family, without even the consent of the elders of the family. He bulldozed his way and got there. Then there was nobody to question what is happening, because everybody was driven aground. Like my humble self, I was locked up in detention for 1 month and 2 weeks, where I was falsely charged for attempting murder. So we who were in the position to say so were hunted down, so much so that Alexander left for Benin because of pursuit. Myself, who was locked up, I have no choice but to remain incarcerated till, well, finally I was released for according to the DPP, that I have no case to answer because the charge was fictitious. Oh, my dear man, there is no other way than, if he were the humble type, he would step down and ask for leniency. Then we can address the root cause of the whole problem. There is no problem without solution, but the way he's approaching it, maybe there's other way out. But to the best of my knowledge, no way. He has made his statement. He has made his statement. Even it was I think it was recorded. It was recorded. But in the moment he passed on, the living ones now say that since he made statement alive, when he died, his statement will equally die. Otherwise, the track is there. The cassette is still there for everybody to see. He made everything point blank and very clean. So
there was this kingship tussle between the President Toby and his brother John. Before then, we watched a video where the former Obi, the father of the present one, said the President Toby is not his first son and should not be the king. But on our own, we thought he was just, maybe he hated his son. So we thought. And then we came together and said he must be the Obi. We wanted to disobey what the father said previously. So more like we formed a cartel, gathered people. Then there was a slogan, 2 groups, the rice and beans group. More or less the rice group, they were more in number. We went around everywhere and made people to believe that what the former Obi said was wrong. And then we started going around campaigning, more like they believed us. And then we were able to, I was in the forefront. And we fought tooth and nail and made a lot of people to support him. So I was in the picture from the first day, even before he became a king. There was a meeting in my house where he came from Ogwash with his wife, and then he called me to a corner. A meeting was going on in my house. He told me that I know his aspiration, and they will want me to be his PA when he becomes the king. I told him, let me think about it. He said, what are you going to think about? Please accept that offer. Then I accepted to be his PA. So I became his PA even before he became the king. So the truth of the matter is that it is the Onise, it is the tradition of the people of NSUKWA that the Onise is the one that crowns the king. And I also remember that even before he became a king, like I said, we were campaigning around. A few of us, Posse was there, and some other persons. We visited the Onise, begging him, we pleaded with him that on the 30th of March 2010, when we slated that he will be crowned, that please he should be prepared to crown him, and he refused. He said there was an injunction and the daughter, being a lawyer, advised him not to do anything contrary to that order, that he should not crown him. We brought drinks, but he refused that he won't crown him. So we thought of an alternative, and that was how we went to one Japa John Akabali for the crowning. I was the only one with him in the small hut where the Akabali was, only myself and himself. Before we got into the hut, he begged me. He said I should ensure that one photographer they call SS does not take any photograph here. The whole idea was that we didn't want our opponents to use it against us in court, because there was already an injunction. So if you ask him today, there's no single picture. Even children in kindergarten school, children, even when they want to do their graduations, small children in primary schools, they wear gowns to show that they graduated or they moved from one class to the other. Ask him if he has any single picture. He has none to show. That will tell you the legality of what we did. There's no picture to show. Today, ask him to show you one picture. None. Because I ensured that SS did not make a snap, not take any picture of the whole event, knowing that if the picture gets to our opponents, they might use it in court to show that we've crowned the king. So, coming back to your question, in NSUKWA custom and tradition, it is the only say of NSUKWA that crowns a king. A king that is not crowned by the Onisha of NSUKWA, to me, is like a man who is walking on the street.
At the time this exercise was going on, were you conscious of the fact that people were circumventing the normal process?
Yeah, of course, that's correct. Everything we did was illegal, because I remember that morning on the 30th of March 2010, he called me very early in the morning because there was something we were looking for. They call it the offer. We felt that the other people may have hidden it because they were also itching to use it if they win. So he called me very early in the morning to say, come to my house. I rushed to the place. He said they found the offer, that it was hidden in one ceiling in the house there. They found it, but he didn't show me. But I think the whole idea is just to make me believe that what we will use for the whole crowning process, it was complete. But I got to find out that he just hoodwinked me with that. We never used any offer in the crowning.
You are a chief in the cabinet. On a lighter note now, and there is this outcome, a court case that has established the Onisha, and that portends a lot for. We cannot at this time now say this is how it's going to pan out. Let's suppose he is being deposed as the king. What does that portend to your chieftaincy title? On a lighter note.
Two wrongs as far as I'm concerned, does not make one single right. If a king who has not gotten a cap on his head, because the cap traditionally is what makes him a king. So in my opinion, he also has no right to put a cap on anybody's head, including myself that has put a cap on his head. So what that means is that if he's finally removed, if a new king comes, we'll beckon to him, we'll ask. Because the chieftaincy title I'm holding belongs to my quarter. So the process will, they call it de novo. We'll go back and start all over again. That's just what it means.
So in the final analysis, you're not at any time worried about the outcome?
No, I'm not worried about the outcome because the right thing must be done. That is what is more important. It's not whether I'm a chief or I'm not a chief. What is important is to get the things that are right, do it rightly. So like I said, I'm not a chief. They still call me a chief because they know I've gone through that process. But finally, I know the court that gave that judgment, they are not wrong. They did the right thing because it was like the judge or whoever was in my mind. I was just wondering, this woman, how come she could just articulate all these points? Because, of course, everything we did was illegal. I remember we met Edwin Uzo. I think he's the chairperson of Peace Building and Reconciliation and Peace Building. I told the chairman of the local government, there was a time they called us to a meeting. I told them that, look, let me tell you, the truth is that everything we did is illegal. about 9 traditional rulers from Anyocha. They've also called us to a meeting. I remember in one of their recommendations, they said, yes, from what they've seen, it is very, 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 very wrong for Anobi to come here and say it was crowned by one man. In Anyocha tradition or custom, it is Donisha everywhere. Everywhere. It is Donisha that crowns the king. And when the matter came to the fore, they told him he must tread softly, he must go back to your people, find a way of resolving this issue. Because for you to come here and say you were not crowned by Nonisha, it's like the court read their mind. The court now has ruled exactly what the king said. They signed a document, a resolution, that he must go back to the Onisha to be crowned. But he said Mike Amukma is not the Onisha. But today the court has ruled that Mike Amukma is the Onisha. So the man he claims to have crowned him is not the Onisha. Invariably, he's not a king as far as I'm concerned. So if he knows the right thing to be done, let him go ahead and do the right thing. So for me, I'm not bothered about whether I'm going to leave my position or not. But the thing is that when the right person crowns me, I will not recognize myself as a king. But for him to have crowned me, I am an illegal chief as well as he's an illegal king.
Well, if I am able to use a macabunya guan in a wabiko, what was on your crabby mando? Jacabru Nisa. Nobuna Gadia Madi Lucana Cadoliza, what boy you know as a cabo that could go with them. I have a message here, Nebefu, Yabasua, no foku. At the end, no much operano angoso. On your tabiano. I've asked if a man Bunifan work who got him, but no Jacob may. Who bonnet Tabia Gu, Yawili. Mike, Chief, Mike, with the noto as Onisian. If I'm the neighbor of Nabamoga or South Bonnet and brought more on your to Copperazin or Gacambo. Nay, can you did in the Bafia? On your dana de Kenya de Ka Ajicam Media. On your de Ka Matas who does a lead, dear Unwaboba. The mother didn't know what if I fume. I will be a nature wound no gua. On your Bobarano done on a baca barabasan yabu, your by on Uru. Nianing where will you say Unu Dagger could on them bo Nagonere. Nianing where Gawa Elewati Chiare Onisa. Oganoji Kokun no not on effort because if any man can mad with me. And the Abu says, could you not book anywhere because he do quite down on nowhere. Ye legally or so, a year where you go, Yanare, Kerale Kune Joku, Yabukia Cabalo Jemoso.
Onye Odia kotobulo